What's good, Chaotic Nation? It's your boy Chaos here, coach of your Detroit Red Wingulls. We are sitting at 4-1 in 4th place in the league right now. The highest defeated team, I guess, of the league. Everyone above us is undefeated, so we got a lot working for us this week. And it's a tough matchup. This is against RDG Dom. I always want to say that backwards. In Prestige Worldwide. It's a tough matchup for us. It's just a really tough matchup. You can see from the team here, it's a really not a great matchup for anybody, honestly. The matches that are played with this team are often sweeps for one side or the other, so we have to be ready to shut that down, because if we don't, we're going to be the wrong side of the sweep, and that's not good. I do think we do have the tools on our team to shut down the likely sweepers, but we're going to have to deal with some of the pivoting that's going to be on this opponent's team this week. So let's see what they've got. They have a very fun team of the Ox's Speed, Roaring Moon, Petarant with Terra Ground and Terra Water, Scizor, Landorus Therian Form, Alola Mola, Avalugg Hisubi with Terra Fairy, Water and Fighting, Ampharos, Appleton with Terra Fairy, Dragon and Steel, and Typhlosion. You see the speed tiers on the screen, and it's kind of crazy because this team is very fast and matches up well against my speed tiers for the team. There's really nothing I can do about the Oxus. It is just going to outspeed the entire team. It's meant to be stupid fast because that's the speed form. Roaring Moon is a problem because Booster Energy will make it probably speedy as well, and we have to deal with that. We also need to note that Scizor has Technician and Priority moves, which is really good for the team. Slower mons are definitely not going to be able to tank hits. Well, their slower mons are gonna be able to tank hits, so that's gonna help them out with a good balanced team, and that just means we have to be well prepped this week as we come in. The likely brings from my opponent, they'll probably want to bring Roaring Moon. Booster Energy is great this week to outspeed Darkrai, which it would be afraid of otherwise. Likely some sort of wall breaker or sweeper with an assortment of its stab moves: Earthquake, Iron Head, D-Dance, maybe Acrobatics if it wants to run that way. Great for a late game sweep, but could opt for more offense to cause problems on the team. I think Dragon Dance has to come this week, which makes it miss one of its coverage moves that is needed for the team. Booster Energy is not super reliable, so we'll see if it decides to make an appearance to get this Pokemon what it needs, because Roaring Moon is honestly, funnily enough, not strong enough or not fast enough on its own to just win. It definitely needs some sort of setup to get there, and Booster Energy can help with one of the two, but not both, and that's going to come to what it chooses, and that tells us the set right away. I think Lando T is a great option for pivoting this week. It's likely going to be U-Turn, Earthquake, Brick Break, utility move of choice. We say Brick Break because of Darkrai, probably wants it for that reason, and that reason only. The utility move is probably going to be Rocks to help chip us down, or Roar to be a phaser this week. There's other things I can set up Rocks too, so it probably wants that chip damage setup move, and maybe going to be more defensive if it goes that way. Likely more defensive, probably invested in special defense a bit. Could see heavy duty boots, it could be lefties, it could be scarf, it could be assault vest. It really depends on the stuff that they want to bring. I definitely expect it more defensive, so probably leftovers. Generally the best item to give to Lando if you're not going to make it a fast sweeper or anything like that. Petarant probably has to come this week. It's too good in Draft League, and it's a bargain at 14 points. I will always say that. It's a great Pokemon. Typing is pretty good too, so. And with Terra, yeah, this thing is just gonna have to come this week. It's a very defensive set with likely recovery to give it longevity. Probably doesn't like Iron Shreds, which is my best matchup into it. It doesn't really have anything to deal with Shreds, which means it'll probably pivot out with Parting Shot. But otherwise, Malignant Chain can do some damage against my team. Its ability also causes some problems with Confusion too. Maybe a Toxic set comes in here. Great defensive wall breaker, and definitely a problem for my team this week, and every team. Petarant's just good. Appleton I think comes this week as well. It's an interesting pick, but with Terra it might be the best counter it has to Darkrai. Fairy Terra gives it a good matchup versus Darkrai in general, so Fairy is just too good this week, and a bulky Fairy type is a pain to deal with, especially with Thick Fat, which covers its weaknesses in fire. It's definitely its weakness in ice generally right up front, which is great. Definitely can see Leech Seed subset this week being good overall. It just can sit there and stall. It might want to use its signature move and those kinds of things to get some damage off, but probably more of a defensive stall set. We could even see Assault Vest this week if it wants to be really, really annoying. But yeah, we just have to see. Dio speed definitely comes this week. You bring your highest tier Pokemon to your high tier matches. You're drafting it to bring it every week, and that's what you're doing. So Dio speed probably comes this week. It likely wants the reliability of physical moves to ensure the KO on Darkrai. Special moves don't do as well on the Darkrai just because of its stats. So it probably wants to run physical moves this week to deal with that. And probably is here really just to take on Darkrai in case it gets out of hand. So that's going to be the case. Maybe calc also to be the Iron Treads. It might not do that. If we don't see Deoxys, we definitely have to think about Roaring Moon just being booster energy speed, because that's probably just the case at that point in time. And last but not least, I think a Alomomola comes this week. It's a good tank to pivot well on my team. It's good as a bulky water Pokemon, which is a problem since we already have a problem dealing with this team, and this is just another good way for them to keep it up. Regenerator's great, especially combining that with Flip Turn, which gives it a pivoting option as well as a way to regenerate its health. Lead Screen can be likely. Skull is probably good to stop physical attackers. Overall, this thing is just a problem. It really depends on the set, and we have to be wary of Aqua Jet for priority things as well. So it's going to come down to what it wants to bring and what it doesn't want to bring. That's unfortunately a lot of the sets of my opponent this week, so we're just going to have to figure it out in the battle and hope we prep well. Other brings for this team, I definitely think Typhlosion is good with Scarf or Specs in coverage moves. It's probably good to deal, probably tough against my defensive core, but it's tough for me to deal with because it also, well, it's good against my defensive core, tough for me to deal with because of its speed tier and my speed tier, so it's a good option for this week. Avalugg might want to come. It only comes to spin, really. The rest of my team pretty much one-shots it, so there's really no reason for it to show up, and if it does show up, we have to assume it's probably going to be the Terra Captain because there's really no other reason. Scizor might come out to deter our speed with choice band, with a choice band priority set like Bullet Punch or E-Turn or something like that. It's not bad into the team, but I feel like it's not likely coming because of my defensive mons that beat it most of the time. But it could come to be something to stop Hawlucha and Darkrai with the speed priority and those kinds of things. That might be enough reason for it to show up. Ampharos is not a great bring, but they do have some niches if it decides to come. I could see Dio getting left behind this week and maybe going for one of their bulky mons too, but I do think they come in this week with the 6 I anticipate. But I do see the appeal on Typhlosion and Scizor as potential pivots for the team. I don't think the rest of them show up. And you really got to deal with rocks. There's nothing that hates the rocks too much, and that might be like Landorus is really the thing that hates rocks the most. And you just have to boots that thing. It doesn't really need any other item or anything like that, so it can still be good, and I definitely could see that if it comes this week. Well, enough of what my opponent's bringing. Let's talk about what I'm bringing. We're starting off with Hawlucha this week with Focus Sash, Unburden, Max Attack, Max Speed, Throat Chop, Acrobatics, Close Combat, and Swords Dance this week. We're bringing Luck this week as a designated sweeper against the team at the end game. It just turns out to be really good, and as I said last week, it has a good chance of sweeping if we just get set up right. The role works well with Hawlucha. The role of being a sweeper works well with Hawlucha this week, and it's great because Hawlucha is a good matchup into the whole team with a few checks like Landorus, Pecharunt, and Scizor. With those gone, we have great positions for Hawlucha to Swords Dance and Sweep. And likely they will be gone because they're going to be more defensive Pokemon that are going to come earlier in the game. Scizor is the only one that's going to be a little bit of a problem if it shows up, so we'll have to manage that a little bit better before we let Hawlucha come in. Priority is the biggest problem for the set, but it's not the end of the world if it happens to show up. Honestly, Scizor just comes to prevent this thing. That's really why it's here, if it wants to show up this week at all. I also think that makes Alomomola carry Aqua Jet to stop it too, which is good because it stops something else being on the set, which I don't mind. I need more speed this week than anything so we can take on the Deoxys. Having a dark move also allows us to potentially catch that Pecharunt on a switch in because it might want to be like, oh, it's going to close combat. We can take a hit, or it might want the acrobatics. It can take a hit. No, when we hit Throat Chop, it could be dead, and that could be really good. Yeah, Hawlucha's got a lot of chances to do a lot of good stuff this week, and it just really depends on what we're cooking and if we can get set up. So I think it's a good option. I think it's hard if we get this out in the field and he doesn't have a priority move to beat us at that point. I think Hawlucha just wins. Next up is Sylph the Clefable with leftovers this week. It is unaware again, max HP, max defense with a little bit of special attack investment. Bold Nature, which boosts my defense over my attack. And I got Moonblast, Ice Beam, Calm Mind, and Moonlight this set. Special attacks are really good into this team. That's one of the things I noticed in team building. And Fairy is a great type to shut down things like Roaring Moon. So Unaware will stop the booster energy or dragon dance on the Roaring Moon from being an issue, and I can threaten it back out with Moonblast or Calm Mind, which allows me to set up, which like last week can enable Clefable to win under the right conditions. Again, Clefable is a really good Pokemon in draft, and you have to really prepare for it. If you don't, it can catch you off guard, and I like that about it. It's one of the sleeper picks that I really think probably could honestly be higher, have more points invested into it in the drafting side of this thing. This is a good wall this week, and it's absolutely needed to stop Roaring Moon. One of the ways we lose is Roaring Moon just setting up and sweeping us. So Sylph deals with that, and I need that option this week to deal with it. Most it can take on things like Ampharos, Landorus as well. So it's not a one-trick pony. Calm Mind, obviously, as I said, could set up and sweep. So, and with Moonlight, that's enough healing to keep us alive. So Clefable can do a lot of work this week, being utility and also causing some damage as well. Next up is Klaus, the Iron Treads. With Clear Amulet this week, I have Quark Drive because I have to have Quark Drive. I have Max Attack, Max Speed with a little bit of Special Defense, Adamant Nature, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, Ice Spinner, and Stealth Rock is my bring this week. Klaus is a must bring this week as I need something to deal with Pecharunt. And as I said in the other team breakdown, I have to bring this to stop Pecharunt because Pecharunt cannot do anything against it. This is great. It's a great set because it stops Pecharunt completely. Landorus, Iron Treads is calced to built and KO Pecharunt and forces it to run Terra Water this week to have any chance of living at all. Clear Amulet is also my option into Landorus, which will try to lower my attack stat with Intimidate, which will be great. And the good thing about Clear Amulet actually is it prevents Parting Shot from happening. So I force the Pecharunt to be stuck in with me for at least a turn while I do damage to it, which is great. And I can just switch out there or do something else if I feel like I need to do that. 9 times out of 10, I will immediately switch into Pecharunt to stop it from using Poison Move, or we can pseudo trap it with Clear Amulet blocking Parting Shot. I went with Stealth Rocks on this set because I think we need to punish them switching. I think that's going to be a big thing this week. Every pivot option is available to this team, and we have a Regenerator Pokemon and a Lomola to deal with too, so Rocks are good for Chip generally. It'll at least put Lomola a little bit below half if it tries to come back in on a return to the field, but generally it's just a good option to have. And you know, it's not the best thing in the world for this team, but I think the Chip is great for us to have and to use to get the KOs on things. As we always say with Chip, it's always there to get KOs on something in the back. So I think that is the plan, but I'm bringing this because I'm hoping that I can force Terra Water on Pecharunt, force that to be the Terra Captain, and then we have ways to deal with that in the back if it's going to do that. And we can stop it too with Iron Treads all the way. So it would have to run Terra Blast, and even then we have a little bit of Special Defense bulk, so we can take it, and that'll be great. Next up on our team is Suicune. Noelle the Suicune with leftovers this week. I am almost max HP, 252 in defense, and a little bit of special attack invested. Bold Nature again. Scald, Shadow Ball, Roar, and Substitute are my set. Let's hope we actually can use Suicune this battle, because last time we run it, we didn't fight. So hopefully we can use it. Bulky Water is great against this team, barring its 2 weaknesses in Electric and Grass. With the potential for Banded Scizor, set up on Roaring Moon or Landorus, and the threat of a Choice Scarf Typhlosion or a Choice Specs Typhlosion, I'm almost forced to bring Noelle this week. It's great into my opponent's countering Scizor and Typhlosion that we need stop before we can use a Sweeper to get rid of them. I know I didn't predict either of those Pokemon to come, but as I said, there is a good potential for them to show up to try to beat some of my other things. And it's silly for me not to prepare for them in a Draft League batch. So yeah, I just gotta make that prep now. Plus, Noelle can provide decent check to most of the team, which is needed because I expect the team to want to use Pivot as the primary strategy to do chip damage and then with a Sweeper sweep. Sub mostly helps punish the switch, or we can use Roar, and with great utility to compare with Stealth Rock, so we can switch things in and get better matchups, which is really good. We can shut down the Sweeper early. It's a great switch in if Roaring Moon wants to try to come in and set up against this thing to do any damage. If it figures out my set, we just roar it out. Booster energy doesn't matter anymore, and then we're good. That allows something else to win in the back. We don't have to worry about its speed or anything else, which is great. And I think it's got a good matchup this week. I didn't really see anything else I wanted to bring, so here we go, Suicune. See what it's got. Next up is Mimosa Arboliva with Grassy Seed and Seed Sower as its ability. I am Terra Fairy this week, which is important because this is my only Terra captain this week. Whoa, crazy. Who would have thought that I would bring one Terra captain this week? I don't know. Not I, that's for sure. Like I did not expect to bring one Terra captain this week. I love going back to the video and like the music just messed up. It's great. It's my favorite thing in the world. But either way, we'll talk about the set a little bit. I am almost max HP, max defense, and a little bit of special defense invested. Bold nature again, because it's just good this week. Giga Drain, Strength Sap, Alluring Voice, and Earth Power for my sets this week because I think I need it the most. Arboliva is my Terra captain this week. It's my only one. I have to bring it. We already talked about how good Terra Fairy, well, not Terra Fairy, but how good Fairy is into this team with Clefable, so it makes sense that I would also bring a Fairy type as one of my Terras because it applies here too. Mimosa gives us an answer to Alola, but also a way to deal with Deoxys Speed, Roaring Moon, Scizor for good measure. Strength Sap is a great option for a physical offense of this team by stopping their plans, which gives me another way to heal as well as deal with Landorus and Roaring Moon that want to set up, which is great. Grassy Seed is a great tool as well for this team because it gives us a defense boost, which makes Arboliva even more difficult to KO. This is probably my best Deoxys counter for the team without requiring the early proc of Hawlucha, and I really want to save that for the end of the game as much as possible. Strength Sap heals equal to the equivalent of the target's attack number, including its boost. So we can heal up a little bit, and that's going to full heal anything. Any Pokemon full heals Arboliva's attack HP if I click it first turn. So it's not a bad move to click anyway, just to get some HP back if I need it, but also to shut down those physical attackers that are going to be so probably prevalent into the team as well. We get Stab Fairy off Alluring Voice, which is great. Earth Power for coverage for things like Typhlosion. But Arboliva is really here for Deoxys, Roaring Moon, and Alola. That's its bread and butter, and hopefully you can capitalize on that. Fairy's can help us out on the other side if we need it, so hopefully everything works well for us there. And we are bringing Asta the Darkrai with leftovers this week. I have Bad Dreams because I have to have Bad Dreams. I have a weird EV spread this week. 56 defense, 56 special defense, 188 special attack, and 208 speed with Timid Nature. I have Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Nasty Plot, and Substitute this week. Darkrai felt a little odd this week with the threats against it, but it does have some good potential to do good work. As it said, it's my number one Pokemon that I drafted for a reason. It's going to come every week unless I really don't like the matchup for it or I find something else that I want to try. The stats may be a bit wonky, but it is investments for a purpose. With defense, I live Superpower from max attack Deoxys Speed, and with special defense, I live Focus Blast from max speed Typhlosion. We need to speed creep max speed Roaring Moon this week as well, allowing Darkrai to have plenty of uses for my team. I may use this as a lead option to counterpick Deoxys or Landorus, which are both likely leads from my opponent. Again, Sub is there to stop Pecharunt, but it primarily functions as a way to ensure that we can have some setup if we need it. We already talked about the priority options, which are a pain for this team, so if I get a free setup, I might just take it. We realistically can still boost behind a Sub with Nasty Plot, but I would love to get a +2 with no Deoxys, no Moon, no Scarfers, and I know that's a big ask with how this other team is set up, but with the right conditions, Darkrai also can sweep this week, but I will probably want it more as a wall breaker to my opponent's team. I love the matchup versus Pecharunt too, especially behind a Sub, because that's just going to stop Malignant Chain as much as we can and just do a lot of damage back, although that'll probably proc a Terra if it comes in like that, so we have to just be a little bit cautious about the Terras when we do that this week. But I think Darkrai has a good potential to do some work. I am really considering it as a lead option, mostly just to get my opponent to be on the back foot. And if we get the right lead matchup, I can click Nasty Plot. I click Nasty Plot, get the +2, and then absolutely blow through something, depending on what we expect to see. So, yeah, but that is the team. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching the Team Builder this week. Looking forward to my battle, and you'll see that tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. Leave a like on this video if you enjoy the Team Builder. I really appreciate you guys watching the Team Builders because this is actually my favorite part of Draft League, is building the team, finding a team that works, and using it. I mean, Draft is really close second, but team building has always been one of my favorite things to do in Pokemon. So just appreciate you guys supporting the passion that I have for doing this. And hopefully we brought the right stuff this week to do some work into the team. I didn't bring either of my not fully evolved Pokemon, so I'm a little terrified this week because they have been crutches that I've been leaning on heavily, but we are hoping the Suicune button can help with that this week. So we'll see what happens. Again, it's a tough team on paper, but I think this is the right team to win. So hopefully we get things set up for Hawlucha to sweep and we just roll from there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure to like button, subscribe to the channel for more. Check out my links in the description down below, and I will see you next time. So until then, my name is Chaos, your coach of the Detroit Red Wingulls. Stay safe out there, and as always, burn it up.